Now we'll turn our attention to the Evy Nordley Award for Best Project by Friends of the Library. This is Mouth's longest running recognition program and one that routinely garners interest from national groups like the Public Library Association and the Association for Rural and Small Libraries. Mouth's board and staff members often get asked, who was Evy Nordley? In truth, hers is a career that is hard to do justice with a capsule description. A lifelong and trailblazing advocate for public libraries, Nordley co-founded the Minnesota Association of Library Friends in the late 1970s, and on the national scene was a beloved director of Friends of Libraries USA. For more than 20 years, Nordley pushed Friends to step out of their comfort zone and explore new ways to better their community. She practiced what she preached too. Under the auspices of the Minnesota Humanities Commission, Nordley brought to life a hugely popular Minnesota Chautauqua, powered by grassroots friends groups from all across Minnesota. After Nordley's passing in 1997, Mouth created the Evy Nordley Award to recognize the commitment to friends and appetite for replicable innovation that she exemplified. We're about to hear from this year's 3 finalist groups, Ramsey County, Faribault, and Grand Rapids. I hope that listening leaves you all energized and inspired to do great things in your community. First up is Ramsey County. Valentine's Day falls squarely in the middle of National Library Lovers Month. That's a happy coincidence that the Friends of Ramsey County Libraries couldn't help but notice. Late last year, the Friends Board began brainstorming ways to capitalize on this too perfect opportunity by learning why residents use and value their local library. This resulted in Love Your Library, a community feedback campaign that far exceeded the organizers' modest expectations. Using less than $400 in supplies and graphic design assistance, the Friends collected well over 400 heartwarming notes and impactful stories from library lovers of all ages and backgrounds. Ann Trapnell, past president of the Ramsey County Friends of the Library, is here to tell us more about Love Your Library.
Thank you, Kate. It's great to be here today. I'm Ann Trapnell, the past president of the Ramsey County Library Friends. And I just want to say a really big thank you to Mouth, not only for the honor of being selected, but also for giving us all this opportunity to share the new things we're trying with each other, because it really helps to have fresh ideas. So I really appreciate that. So just to get started here, I'm going to take you all back, and I know no one wants to go there, to 2020. We all went through it, the doldrums that came from the long slog of the first 12 to even 18 months of the COVID pandemic. Zoom fatigue, isolation, new normals, you know the buzzwords and the feelings. We all experienced the changes to typical life together. And while Ramsey County Library Friends are all passionate, caring, and dedicated to our library, the connection and interaction with each other was starting to feel a little bit flat. So conversations began with the Ramsey County Library staff and board. How do we better engage with our volunteers and our members? And taking the idea one step further, how can we engage our larger patron community with the hopes of introducing them to the Ramsey County Library Friends? When this conversation began, our purpose was threefold: engage with our community and re-energize feelings of connectedness and interaction. We also wanted to continue to increase the awareness of the Friends organization. And we wanted to start building a story and quote bank, something we could use for future advocacy work, for fundraising, for fundraising, anything we could do to use those stories to best support the Ramsey County Library with our work. We started the conversation about what can we do to accomplish these goals in late 2021. And by early 22, we had agreed on the concept and decided that February, with Valentine's Day beckoning, would be a great time to launch this campaign. After many discussions among friends, staff, and committees, we talked to members, we talked to volunteers, we talked to library staff. An idea was born. In a remarkably short time frame, we embarked on a journey, inviting friends, members, and library patrons to share their own stories about why they love their library. We used graphics to play off our logo colors to increase the awareness of the Friends organization. We created an online entry option to be used with the URL that you can see on the screen there. And we printed signs, assembled response boxes, designed and printed entry forms, and even decided to use a Visa gift card and some of our used bookstore coupons as incentives to participate. Prize recipients were decided by a drawing of all participants. This was not a writing contest, again, to eliminate barriers to participation. This was a drawing. In a very short time frame and with minimal cost, we launched the Love Your Library campaign across all 7 Ramsey County Library branches. This was done in partnership with the library director, branch managers, and other Ramsey County Library staff. All of this started before Valentine's Day, so we had a really good jump on that Love Your Library theme throughout the whole month of February. We had never tried to do anything like this, so we really didn't know what to expect in terms of responses. But in pretty short order, folks proved they truly do love their library. The quotes and stories poured in from all 7 branches and online. We were overwhelmed to receive well over 400 submissions from library lovers of all ages and backgrounds, with many very heartwarming and impactful stories. You can see here some boards that we put together to use at library board meetings and at Friends board meetings to share with some of the folks doing a lot of the heavy lifting at the library what people thought. Right now, we have the great problem of trying to figure out how to process and catalog all of these stories so that we can continue to use them for advocacy, fundraising, and fundraising, as I mentioned earlier. This campaign provided many benefits. In addition to the warm fuzzies it provided, we absolutely accomplished all of our goals. We engaged with our members, we engaged with library staff and patrons from the larger community that we had never met before. We raised awareness of our organization and saw an increase in followers on social media, and we collected more stories and quotes than we ever expected. Once the dust had settled, we spotlighted several stories and quotes throughout the month of April. Since this is the time of National Library Week and all of the wonderful events that go with it, we felt it would be a great time to share the heartwarming essays and thoughts and quotes with our membership and with the greater community. So we did this via email to our members. We have an email newsletter type of contact, and then also through social media to reach the public and the larger community. Who doesn't love a feel-good story any day of the year? Whether it's the tear-inducing story of a beloved husband and father surrounded by family in his last moments of life, the inspiration provided by a Ramsey County Correctional Facility inmate, or the joyful and heartwarming words of a young immigrant student, the personal narratives shared by our library lovers have validated the many reasons that I personally have for becoming a library friend. I hope these quotes and stories inspire our Ramsey County Library staff and board, and I hope they inspire our friends, staff, board, volunteers, and members. And I hope these stories reach and engage a whole new group of library friends within our community. I encourage all of you to visit rclfriends.org to read some of the complete stories for yourselves. They really are moving. And thank you again to Mal for both this honor and this wonderful opportunity to share new ideas with other library friends from around the state of Minnesota.
Thank you, Anne. Next up, we have a first-time Evy Nordley contender, Friends of the Buckham Memorial Library. Buckham Memorial Library in Faribault enjoys a long, strong track record for public-private partnerships. It stretches back to 1930 when area resident Anna Buckham funded the original construction in memory of her late husband. That largesse and commitment to the community are alive and well today through the Friends of the Buckham Memorial Library. Over the past decade, library staff and other stakeholders have puzzled over how the library can better take advantage of its prime real estate at the head of busy Division Street. The Friends recently spearheaded and bankrolled a community coalition tasked with shaping a shared vision for a versatile public plaza outside the downtown library. Board member Stephanie Tywater Christensen is going to fill us in on the design and construction phases and leave us with a taste of what's next for Faribault's historic library.
Hello, my name is Stephanie Tywater Christensen, and I am currently the president of the Friends of Buckham Memorial Library. So the Friends of Buckham Memorial Library of Faribault, Minnesota is proud to share our story about the Plaza project. Our board members and our library community are pleased and honored to be considered for this award because it recognizes the commitment to our library and our passion for making this space a welcome and supportive place for everyone in the community. A library is a focal point, a sacred place to a community, and its sacredness is its accessibility, its publicness. It's everybody's place. This quote from Ursula K. Le Guin captures the thinking of the Faribault Friends group as members contemplated ways to contribute to the library's mission. Arising from a strategic planning session 3 years prior, the board determined that the best contribution would be to facilitate the welcoming and inclusive spirit of the library. So from dream to reality, for more than 10 years, the Friends Board has contemplated how to move out of its comfort zone of merely funding traditional programming and into an innovative contribution to the library. There was a sense that combining the value of traditional programming with the recognized benefits of time spent in the out of doors would accomplish that goal. During the early years, our group sought bids for vague notions of an outdoor space only to receive not one single bid. As the years passed, the notion of a space in the outdoors germinated. Aided by a generous bequest, the board committed to doing something, but what? Attention focused on the current plaza area, as you can see on the screen. It's a space that was empty and difficult to access, but a place to begin. At the same time, our city was working with an architectural firm on several projects. So in combination with the bequest, this became an opportunity to move forward and develop plans for that space. Because the space was intended to be inclusive and welcoming, we turned to the community for help. Using city partnerships, local media coverage, and communication with patrons, the board sought input on the project. The effort culminated in an outdoor event in August 2019 to collect ideas and advice appropriate for the project itself. The Friends hosted the event, which garnered contributions and a festive gathering with games, snacks, and robust conversations. The ideas from this session formed the basis for ongoing plans. As we sought input, we had key goals in mind for what we wanted the space to include. These goals included create a central focal point for the library, create a welcoming gathering space for everyone in the community, create a flexible space, and create a space that complements the historic architecture. Planning. We spent several months working with an architectural firm to develop plans for the new plaza. After many thoughtful discussions, careful budgeting, and through many possible designs, our final plan was presented to the City Council for approval. Once final plans had been approved by the city, we broke ground in late 2020. This was a welcome sight during the first year of the COVID-19 pandemic, when we all could use some good news. The construction continued through winter and spring and was nearly finished the summer of 2021. So after countless hours spent planning, nearly 20,000 in-kind contributions from the city, and 357,000 in funds from the Friends, Faribault's front porch was open. In August 2021, we invited the community to join us to celebrate the opening of the new plaza with music and food trucks. The plaza was well received by all who attended. This is the plaza today. The first phase of the plaza is complete, and the reception from the community has been incredible. It has become a great place to read peacefully, have outdoor meetings, play a game of checkers or chess at one of our game tables, or have a picnic. It also provided a stage for a musical performance during our community's recent 19-night gathering at the library. So what's next? We aren't done yet. The next phase includes adding planters to help delineate where the social steps are, as well as add some color and flowers to the plaza. We will also be adding shade structures to keep the area comfortable during the hot Minnesota summers. We plan to present the work we have done and our plans for the future to local groups to help garner more community support for the plaza and grow meaningful partnerships with other community organizations as we work to continue to improve this space. So from the planning stages through groundbreaking to the construction and celebration, the Friends have benefited from these amazing partnerships, and we are so grateful for all they have done to make Faribault's front porch a reality. The Buckham Memorial Library staff and patrons, the City of Faribault, our Faribault City Council, the Historic Preservation District contractors, Faribault Daily News, as well as our local access TV station. Thank you for considering Faribault's front porch for the Evy Nordley Award. We are truly grateful for being considered.
Thank you, Stephanie. Last but not least, we're going to hear from Mary Jo Wimmer on behalf of Grand Rapids area Friends of the Library, who some of you may remember as winners of the 2019 Evy Nordley Award for their dynamic pop-up book sale model. As of today, Grand Rapids is home to more than a dozen assisted living complexes, dementia care units, and other senior housing options. Itasca County residents feel fortunate that they can secure elder care in the same community most have called home for decades. Not all towns are so lucky. Obviously, though, there's more to quality of life than a place to live. And Grand Rapids area library staff have identified this growing senior population as an underserved subset of the community. In their ongoing effort to help the library close the gap between seniors' needs and library services, the local Friends recently invested in a dozen specially crafted memory kits. Memory kits are not an altogether new concept for libraries. As the name suggests, each is a loanable activity pack designed to spark memories and mutually enriching conversations between people experiencing dementia and their loved ones. Let's hear from Mary Jo on how Grand Rapids made the concept their own.
Hello, I'm Mary Jo Wimmer with the Grand Rapids area Friends of the Library. This last year plus, we have taken a little road trip with a decision we made to make some take-home memory kits Our journey was a long one where we visited many places and spoke to many people and learned a great deal about our proposed project. And the question that we wanted to answer was, what quality service could the Grand Rapids Area Friends of the Library offer to people? Because it seemed to us that there were people in our community who could not access the library for whatever reason, because maybe they were homebound in a nursing home, had a traumatic brain injury, whatever the situation was, they were unable to access our library. So on our journey, we spoke with qualified staff at nursing homes, families of Alzheimer patients, activity directors at nursing homes, Elder Circle and their daycare program, and many others about our ideas, gathering information about the best approach to use in reaching this unreached population. We decided in the end to create 8 memory kits. In fact, we started with 7, and then we had a request for an 8th one. So they are here. We have one called My Pets. We have one called On the Farm that deals with agriculture. We have A Mother's Love that has a lot of things you might remember from your kitchen growing up in it. We have At the Movies, Nature, which includes a fishing pole, a gardening one, War and Remembrance. And then the one we were requested to make was making music. So we have that one in production right now. Each kit lists the contents of the kit, has a photograph of the contents of the kit, and directions on using the kit and the replacement costs of each item. The reason for the list and the photograph is to make it easy for the caregiver to make sure they have everything back in the kit before they return it to the library. And they're allowed to check these out for a month at a time. So the way it happens is somebody will come in, it might be an activities director, it might be a loved one who's going to visit someone in a nursing home or somebody who's ill at home, and they take the kit with them. Sometimes we believe that there may be a person who receives a kit and just falls in love with one item. Let's say there's a doll in there or a stuffed animal that they just have to keep. And that's why we include the replacement items for each replacement cost for each item. So that if people decide, you know, my mom really wants to keep this, they have that option and we'll just replace the item. When the kits are returned to the library, Friends of the Library volunteers go through them, clean each item, make sure the kit is complete before it is returned to circulation. In each kit is a list of suggested ways to engage the person around articles in the kit. So for example, in the My Pets kit, there's a bird puzzle. Here are some of the questions that are included on this card. What are some of your favorite birds? Do you enjoy feeding birds? What do you feed them? Do you have any good stories about birds? And you can see how these questions are designed to help engage the person around the item in the bag. So, you know, we really are, the purpose here is to build relationships and to help people remember things that have happened in the past and begin talking about some of those things. Here are some pictures of items that we have in our various kits. As you see, the one on music, this is a little puzzle that actually makes music when you pull each item out. So when you pull the piano out, it makes a piano sound. The Farm Memories painting kit is a paint with water kit that is reusable. And so after a few minutes, the paint colors disappear on the paper and it can be reused. The baking cupboard is articles that are magnetic and can be taken off and played with and returned. On the far right, in the upper corner, is a fidget quilt And we have several of those that were made by local sewers. On the bottom left is the classic vehicles painting kit. The middle on the bottom is another fidget quilt that was made. The next one is Remember When picture puzzles. And the last one on the bottom is our dog fidget. So he opens up and there's a fidget quilt inside of him. Very plush and cozy. So who benefits from this? Well, first of all, veterans who may be struggling with some issues. This is a good thing for people to visit with a veteran. You know, sometimes when you go visit someone in a nursing home or a hospital or a care center, you don't know what to say. And I think these kits really help with that, with having something you can talk about together. Hospice patients, post-surgical or other patients healing at home, and of course, nursing home residents. Our supporters have been the Grand Rapids Rotarians, the North Star Women's Group, the Itasca County Historical Society, and Elder Circle. And we believe this has been a great success in our community. The first week the kits were in circulation, all 7 were taken out within the first week. We did have a volunteer go to all of the care homes and facilities with a sample kit and talk to their activities directors so that they would know what this is about. And we also had an article in the paper about it. Thank you very much.
Thanks again to Anne, Stephanie, and Mary Jo for sharing their stories. Now, the moment of truth. Second place and a $500 prize goes to Friends of the Ramsey County Libraries. Congratulations. Here's a fun fact about your runner-up. This is not their first Evy Nordley showing. They won top prize in 2012 for their estate planning campaign, Become the Next Andrew Carnegie, and placed second in 2015 for their Great Gatsby Gala fundraiser. Both projects stand the test of time. Visit the Evy Nordley page on Mouth's website for a long recap on these and other stellar projects. Our winner and the recipient of $1,000 and a custom plaque is Friends of the Buckham Memorial Library. Congratulations. Here's a fun fact about their library for anyone who gets the opportunity to visit. The Great Hall is adorned with 4 turn-of-the-century murals depicting the great city-states of Athens, Sparta, Olympia, and Delphi. Be sure to take a look if you can get yourself past that welcoming new patio space. Thanks again to Friends of the Grand Rapids Area Library, who will also be receiving a monetary prize from Mouth in the next week or so. And all of our presenters today, except for me, get a personalized copy of my newest book, The Beatrice Prophecy. Before I sign off, allow me to put a bug in your ear. Applications for the next cycle of the Evy Nordley will open in January. Projects implemented anytime between January 2021 and June 2022 will be eligible for consideration. And before I leave, I would just like to say thank you to all of you, friends, libraries. It matters so much what you do. I grew up in a very small town in Central Florida called Claremont, and the public library there, the Cooper Memorial Public Library, shaped me as a human being and as a writer. And there are still times when I dream about that library and being inside it, how safe I felt and how welcome I was. So thank you, everybody, for what you do.